My name is Terri Messenger, and I am a
Hey, and welcome to Terri Messenger's Genius Zone. And, this is the place in the space where you are going to get your own free masterclass absolutely free. Welcome to you, Jacky. How are you today, gorgeous lady?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I am so well and so excited to do this.
Well, I'm going to make sure that not only are you excited and not only are you talented and gifted, and not only do you have a really massive gift to share to the world, especially for those who are really wanting to transition into the online space and take a big shortcut, but I'm going to make this so juicy and powerful. So are you ready to do a closed eye little trick to begin?
Yes.
Let's do this. Okay, so firstly, let's close our eyes down shut and just place one hand on the mid of your belly and the other on your central chest. And with this, I want you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1, and breathe out. Now, as you breathe out, just allow your body to relax and notice your hands where they're placed. And we're going to do that again, taking a deep breath in through the nose, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, breathe out. Just notice how your body is just relaxing more and more down. And then we're going to do this breath one more time. Breathe in through the nose. Feel your hands placed, and as you hold yourself in, I want you to release out and relax all the way down. And just noticing how your hands change space as your body relaxes. And I want you to imagine you are going on a very fast astro travel, and it's going to take you to a day from now. And in this day from now, you have attained the most incredible podcast. You have been able to completely expound yourself in your greatest, in your most confident. And I want you to imagine that you're seeing yourself one day out, noticing that you're reflecting on it, noticing how inspired you are, noticing how everything came together so well. And I want you, without even having to think or do anything, I want you to float down into that quantum space in one day out from now and just drop down into it. 5, as if the numbers are floating away. 4, as they rise up in front of your eyes. 3, and then disappear. 2, and then 1. And now just be inside your physical body, feeling so excited, feeling so inspired. And I want you just to hear these questions and know that your superconscious has all the answers, even without you having to know consciously what they are. I wonder what was so great about your podcast. I wonder what was the biggest take for the audience as they came to learn something very powerful about taking control of their lives and being able to achieve their dreams of freedom and being in the space and the place they deserve. I wonder what it was about you that enabled you to be able to speak so truthfully, authentically, and freely with grace about your own story. And in some way, you were able to attract so many of your dream clients. And as you feel this incredible feeling of inspiration, empowerment, and confidence, knowing that you're on the other side of it, I'm going to get you to bring the wisdom of the future and merge it back on the count of 3. 1, back to here and now. 2, and 3. Open your eyes. And yeah, so thank you for allowing us to kickstart with that little meditation.
Beautiful.
And so, I just want to sort of start with, really framing your own story. And, what I really noticed backstage when we were speaking is the incredible amount of resilience and self-discovery and self-empowerment. And you really faced a lot of your own darkness. In fact, you even talked about being in a place and a space that was so incredibly dark that you felt numb. That must seem like such a long time ago. Does it feel like a lifetime ago?
Yes, definitely. When
Yeah.
I look at who I am now and how connected I am to myself, I almost can't believe that I got myself so disconnected and that I let myself get to that point, because it was such a tough time and such a disconnected time that when I look back now, I can't even imagine getting back to that place. Like, it just seems impossible.
I hear you. And it's because you'll never go back to that place because you've done some really solid work. And this is one of the things that I really want to explain to the audience, that when you meet a person that's as empowered as Jacky, and she can tell you her story, and she can actually give you her key steps of what she did that actually got her from being in that disconnect, dark space to a place where she's so far from that, she can't even imagine ever being there. And this is what it's all about. It's about being able to help our audience to fast track through. And, I do have to say this, but I am attracting a lot of people from the corporate world, and there is a lot of unhappy people out there right now. But there's also a lot of people that are stepping into the online space and kind of been hit with a bit of a rude shock of, oops, this is not so easy, because they get stuck on the technology side. So this is where you're going to really be able to bring this beautiful gap together. Rather than someone standing on that side of the bridge and feeling bewildered, you're going to be able to really, really close that gap. So Jacky, your early years in corporate training, where you spent so many years training staff and developing strategy, performance strategies, and your passion for learning and personal development are all no doubt a big piece of where you are. And of course, you doing a master's degree and, really dedicating yourself to helping others grow so exponentially. Tell us about that turning point in 2019. The series of devastating events, redundancy, the loss of the beloved family members, all the things.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So as I said, it feels like a lifetime ago, but I was made redundant from a really incredible role. I was managing a team of trainers, and we were delivering training across a really large organization. And in all intensive purposes, I had all of the things that should have made me happy. And, everything should have been sunshine and roses. But I always knew that I wasn't 100% happy. So when the redundancies came around and I ended up being one of the people who got made redundant, it was really incredible because I had this path kind of open up in front of me that I didn't feel 100% ready for. I wasn't too sure about, but I had this opportunity to either go back into work or to start doing contract work and set up my own organization. And I took that leap into the contract work because at the time it seemed like the best thing. And then we had a range of devastation that kind of followed that. So within 6 months of me starting my business, we lost my aunt to cancer. And I was really, really close to her. She was a massive foundation in our family. And losing her really kind of rocked everything. In the same year, me and my husband got married. And then in the following year, we lost 3 more family members. So both of my grandmothers, and neither of them were overly sickly or like they were quite surprise passings. And we also lost my cousin who was in his 30s in a car accident. And it was literally like overnight. It was so devastating. I still lived in the UK at that point. And we literally like had plans to meet the week after because he was in South Africa at the time when he passed away. And it was like everything just kind of came crashing down. Like it was just really, really difficult. And as I was kind of going through and navigating this, I was still working with clients. I was still just trying to like hold everything together and just hope for the best. And that kind of mindset of like time heals everything. If I just give it enough time, it'll be fine. It's a lie, but I tried it anyway. And then in the following year, I was kind of like just scraping through. And on my birthday, I got the phone call to say that my grandfather had passed away.
Wow.
And that was
What are the
literally
chances
just like,
of, yeah, so much happening in such a short time and then on your birthday? Wow.
yeah. And like it was the most with my grandfather, we knew that he was unwell. We knew that he would be passing. And myself and my dad actually have birthdays really close together. And my only desire was that he didn't pass on my dad's birthday. Because I didn't want my dad to have to carry that. Like, that's a horrible thing for your father to pass on your birthday. Like, I never wanted that for him. So when he didn't pass on my dad's birthday, I was like, yes, okay, we've achieved the goal. And like, then there was just kind of this like, he can go whenever he's ready. Like, it doesn't matter. Never actually thinking that it would be on my birthday. And I remember we were out, my husband had taken me out for the day. This was like in between the 2 lockdowns, so we were just allowed to start like going out in the world again. And we were out at this beautiful safari park in the UK, and I was standing in front of the cheetah enclosure. Um, and my dad phoned and like told me that my grandfather had passed away. And I remember just looking at this cheetah, just walking around this cage, and like I could just relate so much to that feeling of like unsettled, like pacing, feeling really trapped. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like something has to change. Like I can't keep this all inside anymore. I can't stay in this place. I can't keep pretending that I'm okay. I can't wait for life to get better. Actually, I need to do something different. I need to take responsibility and say, I'm not just going to wait for time to pass and hope that everything gets better. I'm going to do something different now. And that was like a massive realization for me in that moment, that actually I can't just sit on the sidelines of my life and hope that something happens and something changes and something gets better and something, around me makes my life better. Because I am always going to be the first move. I always have to be the first move.
Exactly. You know, when you're saying that, like the whole moment, it's like a movie, and I'm seeing you in this movie, and it's suddenly everything slows down except the cheetah that's pacing, and you get the call. And then it's like, while this element had happened, it reminds me of something I wrote today in my email to my community, which is that, you know, sometimes many people do not find their legacy life purpose because their life was too mediocre and just sort of hummed along. And because it cruised, they didn't have any rock bottom moments where they had to draw that line in the sand and say, F this, I am doing something else. So I see how you've got your grandfather as a legacy here. This is what I call legacy leadership. He was your legacy. He was that turning point. I always look for this in my messages, the turning point, and this is the song of your glory to your story, because it's in that moment where you had that wake-up call. It's like life doesn't stand still for anyone, and unless you take the step, it's not going to happen. So God bless your grandfather for that. And, you know, your road to recovery, because obviously, you know, for someone out there, it could take a million steps before they even get around to it. I know a lot of people that are sitting on the fence in their jobs, in the corporate world, where they know there's something better for themselves. They want desperately to be happier, but they're scared. And what they're actually scared of, as you would know, Jacky, is the uncertainty. And I think it's in these moments of literal crash that you go, what the heck have I got to lose? You know, when it gets so damn bad. So now what I want to do is I want to talk about your road to recovery. And you sought out not one, but two coaches, smart lady, and one being a business coach and one being a wellness coach. And, you know, in the online space, we know that the more specialized that you can really craft your offering and what you're doing, whether it is, you know, whatever industry you're in for that fact, the more honed it is, the more masterful it's going to be. But you talked me through how your coach, that was more your personal development one, did meditation with you. And she would be in your ear, and you would have your hand on your physical self, and she would speak to you. Can you talk me through what you believe was so damn powerful about what had actually happened there?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that a lot of people are scared of feeling their emotions. It's a really big thing to do, especially like me, coming out of grief, coming out of depression. I had suppressed those emotions so dramatically that I couldn't feel the bad stuff, but I couldn't feel the good stuff either. And one of the really big shifts and really big moments for me in working with the women's coach that I worked with was, it felt so much safer to feel those emotions with somebody with me. So even though she wasn't physically in the room with me, we would be on a live call. She would be in my ears. I would be lying down, hands on body, and I could feel the emotions in my body, but I could also express them to somebody who was there. And when they felt really overwhelming or they felt really scary, she was able to be an anchor point for me. and just keep me in that place of like, actually, you are strong enough to get through this. You are, strong enough to feel this. And with a lot of what I was going through there was a lot of baggage that kind of sat around the grief, but there was even more baggage actually that sat around how much I had retreated into myself and how much I'd stopped engaging with life. And there was a lot of guilt and a lot of shame and a lot of disconnect into who I was meant to be and how I was meant to show up. I wasn't living my purpose. I wasn't, running my business as well as I could have. Like, there were so many disconnects. And actually having that anchor point to say, it's a completely open space. There's absolutely no judgment. I can say, I feel so guilty for X, Y, and Z, and there's no judgment. There's no backlash on somebody trying to fix me or trying to rationalize it for me, or there was just this complete safety in just being whoever the hell I needed to be in that moment.
Wow, I love
to
that.
like walk through every single one of those emotions and everything that came up. And sometimes, the memories and the stuff that would come up would be just utter joy, like just memories of my family members who we'd lost. And it would just be so joyful. And I would be telling my coach about their lives and the things that were, like the lessons I'd learned from them and all of those kind of good things. And like you say, my grandfather was a legacy for me. And that hits me way more than you would even know, because he was a much bigger legacy than anyone will realize, because he ran his own business. He was the first person in our family to run his own business. And he was so supportive of me going after my dreams to run my own business.
Wow.
So he was such a big thing. So actually being able to express those stories and talk about what it was like growing up with all of these incredible people and how amazing their lives were, and being able to not only sit in the grief, but actually just express that joy in such an open way, where sometimes, especially if you're in a family that's grieving, it can feel uncomfortable to share those joyful expressions if somebody else isn't ready to hear them, if
Yeah.
somebody else is sitting in their own grief. So the having just a safe space to just, no matter what came up, no matter what I needed, there was just this like beautiful space. It was such a quantum leap. It was such a movement. We moved so quickly from that place of being, completely, I mean, I was completely depressed. I was in a really bad space. As you said, like I felt numb. I felt so disconnected. And in such a short space of time, within sort of 3 months, I was starting to kind of blossom again and feel like myself again and come back to that, like, just like more connected, more grounded version of myself where I wasn't wearing a mask every day. And just that was so incredible, because it's so tiring putting on that mask every day, putting on your armor, pretending like.
I'm so glad you said that, because, it brings me to the old age saying, or fake it till you make it. And that does not work. And this is, I mean, from a secular level, people might say, oh, just keep faking it and you'll make it. Well, I feel like when you're talking faking it till you make it, you're pushing it down, you're pushing it down, you're pushing it down, and you're not facing up to the truth. So on the other side of the coin, if I can bring some real conscious competency around to what you just said, number one, I just want to say, with your grandfather, I'm so greatly honored, and I feel incredibly privileged, because I felt that was a download that came to me, and I'm even still getting that now. So, kudos to that man, and yourself. Now, with regards to you in that safe space and being able to grieve and speak safely, and you talk about how somehow you felt safe because you had someone with you, as you were going through these sufferings. And, you know, from a psychological level, the truth of this fact is that you have taken control. You've said, I'm allowed to feel sad, but instead of you just sneaking up and triggering the F out of me when I'm, you know, at a party or when I'm minding my own business, I'm going to face up to you right now, and I'm going to allow myself to feel sad. I'm going to allow myself to understand all the struggles that I'm going through. So there's that element of taking control. And the subconscious suddenly goes, hang on a minute, you're not supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be doing this. You see what's happening here? It's a bit of a trick. So it's interesting how you've brought that, because I think that that is a very imperative element for people, especially people that are going to want to follow you and, you know, move and transition in the way that you help people today. So, you know, take control, allow yourself that element of grieving, going through the pains, going through all of those elements, knowing that it's safe to do so, and then bringing yourself through to the other side. It's like, oh, okay, well, it's done. It's a done deal. So, you know, you also talked about, and again, I saw a bit of a movie on this, like, you know, one of those real beautiful, you know, like tear-jerker movies where the person starts doing things they've never done before. I'd like you to talk me through this, because you suddenly found out about running, painting, paddleboard, pottery. And yeah, can you talk me through the joy of what that meant in your transformation?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things I kind of discovered with my coach as we went on this journey is that I had completely disconnected from who I was. I'd lost the essence of what made me me. And I'd become that person that, you know, if my husband would say, like, where do you want to go for dinner? I'd be like, wherever you want. Or if a friend said, you know, do you want to go watch a movie? What do you want to see? I'd be like, whatever you want, because I had no opinions myself on what I wanted to do. I was so kind of disconnected from what I enjoyed. So one of the big things that I did, and I do this with my clients now, is this idea of dating yourself. And it's like, it's just so much fun. It's so much fun. So sometimes it would just be a date where I would take myself out. Other times it would be something with my husband or with friends. But basically, at least once a month, I would do something completely new that I'd never done before, with the sole purpose of finding out if I liked it. So there was no pressure to go and be good at it or to enjoy it or to do it again. It was literally just, we'll go, we'll see if we like it. And if we don't, then we don't have to worry about it. So one of the first things, because at the beginning I was a little bit nervous of like going and doing this myself. I was a bit like, it'll be really weird if I just rock up to places by myself and like do things, because obviously I was not very confident at that moment and my self-esteem was quite low. So the very first thing that we did was actually for one of our anniversaries, myself and my husband went to London and we did a chocolate making course. And it was like a couple of hours and we made like all different like chocolate truffles and all of these things. And it was like, it was such a good day. And after that, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do more of this. So I signed up to a pottery class. I went paddleboarding. Myself and a friend went hiking up some mountains in the Lake District. Like we literally did so many different things. And not everything stuck. Not everything is something that I, you know, have done again. But one of the things that really stuck for me was running. So I'd always had this idea that I was like not athletic and not sporty and like not very good at that type of thing. And the first time I went running, it literally was like a cure for my depression. It was so incredible in the way that it made me feel, how much clarity and focus I found after going out. And at that point, I had no idea why. Like, I didn't understand the science behind it. Now I do, and I get it. But like at the time, like my business coach is actually the one who said to me, like, go and run. She was like, put on your shoes, go and run, because she also suffered with depression, and running had been a massive help for her. So I went out, I ran, and literally felt so good and had like a laser focus in my business in that day. And after that, I was like, this is it for me, and started running like the couch to 5K, and then like 5K park runs. And like just recently, I ran my first half marathon, and I've got another half marathon at the end of this month. So like, it's become something that's like so part of who I am now.
I was
But
going to
I would
say,
never
how do you go from not knowing that you like running to actually discovering it at, you know, as an adult? That's phenomenal. But I feel like you've answered the question anyway by what you've said about what it actually does to your brain. And I know that one of the coaches that I work with, she's multiple six figures now, and she found running as well. And she runs every single day. So that's a great gold nugget to give people. So do you tell your clients, actually, do you recommend for them to actually do that?
Yeah, so not necessarily running, because obviously the science behind it is just the movement of the body. So as long as you have your heart rate elevated and you are sweating, that's like the key things. So you can run, that's fine, but you can dance, you can go cycle at the gym, you can literally do anything that you want, go play a sport. Like, it doesn't have to be running, but it has to be something that disconnects you from that worry. So you have to be actually moving and thinking. So like playing a sport, tennis, hockey, like netball, any of those sorts of things, running, or like anything like cycling, anything where you get to just focus on that next kilometer, that next goal, that next like in the moment thing, is literally like, it's life changing. Like, it's life changing. So that's the recommendation. Not so much like you have to go run, because some people just don't enjoy running. Some people enjoy team sports, you know, being around people, all of that sort of stuff. So running is not for everyone. I know a lot of people who absolutely hate running, but they're really good at sports and like going out. One of my really good girlfriends like plays hockey, and netball and all of those things. And she always says to me, like, I have no idea how you run. And I'm like, you literally run around a pitch for 90 minutes.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know how you don't run.
She's not realizing it. But, you know, there's a little saying in neuro-linguistic programming, and it's a NLP presupposition, and it is lose your mind and come to your senses, right?
Yes.
So literally, what you're describing is absolutely like textbook, because, you know, what better way to lose your mind? We're losing all those thoughts that are stuck in your head, because quite often when people are wanting to make something work in their business, or if they're struggling in the online space, which we're going to get to next, or they're not happy where they are in the corporate world and they're stuck, you know, they tend to play that over and over again. But to actually leave that behind, release out of it, and run, as you say, it's very difficult to be sweating, moving your body, and literally elevating your whole frequency in your heart rate, your energy, and considering like that problem that you once had. So what a share. That's so brilliant. I want to touch on something else you shared on as well. I want to go back to the part where, you know, when you started exploring all of the dating for yourself, that's huge, right? Dating yourself. And I find this is probably something I'm going through at the moment, because I've gone through such huge retrograde ascension symptoms where I've had catastrophic things happening in my life that are around my house, my marriage, and so many very prime important things. And yet I know it's for the greater good of where I'm going to go. And I know this is about rebirth. It's about transformation, and bringing it into what you're talking about, the self-dating. One of my mentors, she went through a breakup, and when she did, she went to Bali to get married, wait for it, to herself. So she wanted to take that prime time to do that. But because she knows all of the elements of this kind of mindset work, she knows about what you've discussed with dating yourself. She knows about, getting into your body and moving, what that meant. And, quote, she did it alone. And, this is something that is, it's a big thing, because I know that I visit Bali's my second home. I run retreats there all the time, and I'll be out during the day. I'll be sitting in cafeterias. I'll be doing selfies. I'll be doing my laptop. Soon as nighttime comes around, and you're sort of sitting in either places, cafes, or restaurants, bars, by yourself, you start to feel a bit stupid. And I just made this thing with myself that if I'm going to go out at night, I'll make sure that I'm back in my room by 7 o'clock. But other than that, enjoying your own company and finding your own self, I feel, is such a huge piece of your story as well, of what you've spoken about. And of course, then you went from there to transitioning into the online space with all your master skills, all of the background, and the fact that you understand that your ideal client probably can't stand technology. And your client is probably very gifted and probably got something really powerful to bring to the world, but there's all these missing links. So this is where we're going to go through your mapping of moving them from stuck and feeling like they can't, because I think we discussed too backstage that a lot of the reasons why your clients, and my clients for that fact, feel stuck with technology is because they're telling themselves a story. What is with that? Well, what do you reckon? What's the story they're telling themselves, Jacky? And what do you think is the element that helps them kind of break through that?
Oh, that's a good question. So one of the really big things that I find, so like if we take that sort of corporate moving over into online space, when you work in corporate, you are an absolute star in the thing that you do. But you never have to run all of the elements of the business. If your laptop breaks, you ring IT and they fix it. If a client needs to pay, the finance team takes care of it. You don't deal with the money. If, somebody is not doing what they're supposed to, you ring in HR and they sort it out. If you need to hire somebody, HR deal with it. If, all of these different scenarios, if you need to order stationery, somebody does it for you and it just arrives at your desk. Like, you don't have to actually run the whole function of the business. All you have to do is be extremely good at what you do. So a lot of people are so expert in what they do. They are an expert coach or, finance person or like whatever their skill set is. And then they come out and they decide that they're going to run their own business. And they decide it's going to be online because that's what everyone's doing these days. And they pick up their laptop and they think, okay. And suddenly they realize they have no idea how to create a website. They have no idea how to write copy that a client's going to actually want to read. They have no idea how to take pictures even, or take videos of themselves. Because for so many people who don't work in the online space, taking a selfie or setting up their tripod to take a video of themselves out in public just seems bizarre. Whereas for people who run their own businesses, we're like, yeah, we do that all the time. Like, it's so normal. So there's like this massive shift. And as soon as they make that shift, the biggest issue I see, especially with female entrepreneurs, is that they go and look for validation in the wrong place. So they want somebody to tell them that they've made the right move. They want somebody, because that's how they've always existed. Their boss has told them, well done, you're doing the right thing. So now they're going out and they're seeking validation. Right. And I hear the same story over and over again. I went out, I was at the school gate picking up my kids, and I started to tell the other mums what I was doing, and all of them thought I was crazy. All of them thought it was so unsafe, and they were like, oh my gosh, how could you do that? Like, you're never going to have time for your kids. And they start telling you the story. Or people will say to me, I went out with my group of girlfriends and, I told them that I was going to start this business. And they all say to me, oh, there's a million people who do that already. What would make you different? And the challenge I always put back to my clients is, those mums at the school gate, or that group of girlfriends that you've got, are they all running successful online businesses?
Very good question.
Because if they're not, they are not the person to get validation from. They cannot validate your ideas. I mean, nobody should have to validate your ideas. But if you're looking for validation when you first start, get into a community of business owners.
Oh,
yeah. Get around the people who are doing the thing that you want to do. Because when you then say, oh, I'm thinking about creating this program, you'll have a whole bunch of women who are going, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. This is how I created mine. This is the troubles I had, but this is how I got over them. And suddenly the conversation is completely different. But when the only conversation that you're having is this one of lack and scarcity and fear from a bunch of people who have never taken that leap and started their own business, of course it's not going to work. And one of my clients, I remember when she started her business, this was 4 or 5 years ago now, when she started her business, she said to me, I had this conversation with the mums at the school gate, and I felt very judged and I felt very vulnerable, like talking about my business, because I'm still trying to come up with the ideas and I don't fully believe it yet. And I said to her, why did you tell them? Like, why did you tell them? Like, how did that conversation happen? And she said, oh, well, they asked me, like, how's it all going? And I said, and if you just said it's going good and then moved on, would they have been offended? And she was like, no, probably not. And I was like, exactly. So in that moment, you feel unsure. So you overshare looking for validation. And then you don't get the validation you need. And then you question everything. And then suddenly you're spiraling out of control. And the smallest things become this massive overwhelm.
Oh, yes.
And suddenly everything feels impossible. And then either you have these incredible women who should be running their online businesses who are then going back into employment and doing another cycle of 2 or 3 years before they finally step out again. Or you have these women just sitting in complete fear paralysis, not moving and not taking the steps that they need to.
Exactly. Yes. And what I'm hearing also is that, especially if you happen to be a woman and you are kind of feeling in your mind that there is a calling taking you out of the corporate world, because we deal with so many people that are in that space. And I'm not specifically the coach, by the way. I just, for some reason, I'm just drawing coaches in that particular niche. But I have people very, very close to me, around me, that are in the corporate world, and they are very, very good at what they do. And I can just see it now. You know, picture this, right? This person, she's at the very top of the wazza. She gets all the adoration. She gets all the respect. She's got all these people underneath her. There's always that fear, though, that the closer you are to the top, the closer you are to the door. And then there's redundancies that come through on the reg. And then on top of that, she's thinking to herself, she's feeling this little calling going on in her life, that she needs to be doing something and stepping out into her own independence and her own soul purpose. And then watch this, she turns around and tells her best friend, having that she's earning, you know, multiple six figures in what she's doing, I'm going to go out and do an online course. I'm going to go and be an online entrepreneur. Of course, that person is going to get so much flack. Are you out of your mind? Are you batshit crazy? Excuse the French, but you can just imagine it. And this is why, be careful, as Jacky says, who you share your dreams with. Because if you've got a dream inside of you that is ready to be woken up, that's why I bring people like Jacky onto the show, so that you can contact them and you can smash this out with someone who is going to hear you and give you a truly, truly incredible guidance. And on that level, I just want to say that your program that you're running, and, you know, apart from the fact that I love it, it's from burnout to balance, and we don't have to talk about what that's about, because I think we all know. And then it's not only from burnout to balance, but it's in that field effortlessly achieving, you say £2,000 months, we might say £2,000. How much is that in US dollars? Do you know the conversion rate?
It'll probably be anywhere between 1,600 to 1,800.
Okay, all right. So basically going from burnout to balance effortlessly, having 2,000K weeks with ease, joy, and grace. I mean, and whether you do that and do it in a month and then bring it into a week, this is what Jacky will talk you through. And on that note now, I just want to go through your program and, you know, just really add value to people, and also remind everyone, if you do want to have a call with Jacky, we'll put her links, so you'll be able to see the links where you are listening or viewing this from. So you've got you've got 5 pillars. And it's interesting that your 5 pillars that you really coach around. I have 5 pillars and I teach on 5 pillars, and mine are master keys. Yours are, you know, these particular elements that you regard as being really, really imperative to a person when they are in the online space. So just knowing and hearing what we're about to go through is going to be really, you know, it's going to be gold. So number 1, identifying and understanding your client and the market. Why is that so important?
So one of the really big things that I find with this moving over into an online space is there's a lot of noise, let's call it, in the online space. Noise that exists in the online space, and everyone has an idea of what the best course of action is. So some people will say, you know, you have to niche down within an inch of your life in order to have success. Other people will say, well, you can be a multi-passionate entrepreneur and do 7 different things and have success. Other people will say, you know, you have to have a suite of programs that go from small to big and people move through them. Other people will say 1 signature offer and that's all you need. Like, there's so much advice out in the world.
There is.
And my big stance on it is that your strategy has to be your strategy. So your strategy can't be somebody else's strategy. So I never say to people, the only way to build your business is like this. What I say to people is, you have to understand 2 fundamental strategies. You have to understand who you want to serve and the market you're going in to serve them. And then you have to understand who you are and how you serve them. So there's like this 2-part piece of, 1, doing the business strategy, the business plan, the understanding of, you know, the actual technical steps of what are you going to sell, how's it going to add value, etc. And then on the other side, there's this piece of really understanding the strategy of who you are and how you fit into your business and how your business fits into your lifestyle.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. So it's really designing your offer and that way that you want it to work, that's going to suit your own personal DNA, and being able to create that so that you enjoy every step of the way. And I really, really feel that that is just so important. And there's so many people that don't understand that concept. The second part is actually developing, creating, building your offer. Doing this in a compelling and most valuable way that's really going to resonate with your target audience. You know, what would you love to say about that, specifically to your client that's listening and praying for someone like you to come along?
So you said earlier that I've done a master's, and my master's is in learning and development, understanding how people learn and how we make sure that people get results. And that is my biggest strategy behind helping people build offers, because if you build something that does not get results, it will not sell. Like, that is just the truth of it. You might make a couple of sales at the beginning, but then when nobody gets results, you're not going to continue to make sales as you go through. So when I work with clients to craft offers, there is such a great focus on making sure that that offer is actually going to get your ideal client the result that they want, and in a way that is best suited. Because some people love working one-to-one, some people love working in group programs, you know, some people love having a community, a membership, etc. But actually, if you don't know how to say, the result I want to get is this, and I want to use this format, so, you know, I want to help people build a business and I want to have a group program that does it. If you don't know how to marry those 2 things together and actually get a result, it's still not going to work. You could spend, you know, a year creating something. If it doesn't get results, there's no, you know, you're not going to have a business off the back of it.
Exactly. You've got to get the results. And I feel that for people who are listening, they're so kind of bent on, I wonder what I can offer that's going to be really popular. And then as a result of that, they're trying to kind of match the market that seems like it's doing well for somebody else. And then it's not being true to themselves, hence not faking it till you make it, but it's not bringing back your own identity. And I think identity is really a big word and a big piece in this of what is it truly, truly, truly that you know you can do. And as far as you're concerned, you can do it better than just about anybody you know.
Yeah.
And then go out and create that. And this is where Jacky is going to support you in, making sure that you are on that wavelength, because of course you want to get results, and your clients, when they get results, they're going to realize that it just has this effect. It may not be the most popular program that seems so, I guess, exciting the way one of your competitors made it look, but you are in your lane, you are in your zone, and you are making money and you are helping people. And that's really what this is all about. Now, this one might be a bit scary because some people won't be ready to hear this one, but this is the third pillar, and it is, okay, I'm not swearing here, systemizing your funnel. Okay, lay this out, girl, in a way that will explain the funnel word and help people that have got no idea. They think a funnel is something that they have to go out and literally hire a guru and spend $20,000 on creating. Can you please explain a funnel for yours and my audience?
Of course. So the word funnel, like as you've just said, has got so many connotations behind it that it has to be super high tech and super flashy and have millions of steps. It doesn't. It doesn't. And actually, the reason why I lean into funnels and I teach people funnels is because it teaches you all of the fundamental pieces you need to run your business. So even if one of my clients doesn't end up building a complete funnel for their business, even if they decide to sell in a slightly different way, they have all of the fundamental pieces. So let me break a funnel down super simply for you as to what you actually need in order for a business to successfully have a funnel. The first thing is your offer. So we've already spoken about that. We've spoken about how you build it. We make sure it gets results. That's great. Once you've got your offer, the whole point of a funnel is to get people in at the top end so that they can then get all the way down to seeing your offer, knowing that it exists, and being able to buy it. And this works in a really kind of simple way of offering value up front. So everyone will have heard of a lead magnet or a freebie or an opt-in. You're basically creating a mini version of your offer and you're putting it out into the world and saying, this is what is available. So as an example, if I'm teaching people about funnels, I have an opt-in, which is 42 lead magnet ideas. And I can give that to somebody because if somebody opts into that, it means that they're thinking about building a funnel, which means they're my ideal client. So your opt-in has to be something that literally draws your ideal client to the front of the room. It makes them say, I'm putting my hand up and saying, I want that thing, because you only want your ideal client to come into the mix. So if I always say, like, imagine if you are running a business where you are doing Pilates for women, okay? And you put out an opt-in at the front end that is all about how to build a six-pack. Because that is something you can get from Pilates. But what happens is you then have 100 men sign up because they want to get six-packs. You haven't attracted your ideal client. You actually need to look at maybe saying, how do you get a toned body? Or how do you, lift your bum, or like something that's going to attract a female audience into that process. So that first step is basically what we call the attraction step. So figuring out a way to get your ideal audience to put their hands up and say, this is for me. once they download that thing, they give you an email address. Now they are yours. They are in your world and you can talk to them, which is the most incredible thing as a business owner. To have somebody trust you enough to give you their email address and say, you can talk to me, like your foot is in the door, now you have an opportunity. So the second part of the funnel is actually building an email sequence. So we write emails. Everyone knows how to write an email. Everyone has written an email. You know, it's not a hard thing. But we write a set of emails that basically take the client from not knowing who you are to actually knowing that you exist, that you're a master in what you do, that you have authority in your area, and that you can get them a result. And this sequence, so I always say like 5 to 10 emails, depending on what you're doing. Obviously, we build them like with the clients, depending on what they're selling. But it's templated, it's easy. It's like, this is the process you take. This is how you do this. This is how you show up. And then the final piece of the puzzle is the sales page to actually sell your offer. So you can have an absolutely banging offer, but if you don't have a sales page that highlights how good it is and the results that you can get and is written again to call your ideal client out to the front of the room, you're not going to make sales. And like, I mean, I could talk about sales pages alone for an hour.
I
there's
can
so
hear
many
that.
mistakes.
You could do this in your sleep.
So
I
many
can tell this,
mistakes.
sister.
Yeah. There's so many mistakes people make, but we won't go into that today because we don't have time. But like, there are so many simple things that people can do in every single one of those stages that will completely change the way that their business shows up, completely change the way that people view them and how they, you know, exist in the world. And then once you've got that funnel built, it's how you actually put that out into the world. So
Yeah.
I've got like a 6-part method of like how we actually get it out into the world, all of the different ways that we can do that. So it's not just social media. It's like a much broader spectrum that actually says, you know, we are going to push you out of your comfort zone. We are going to get you in front of people. We are going to show off the amazing person that you are. Because I don't just want my clients hiding in the noise of social media and hoping that one day they'll go viral and everything will work. Like, we're not those women. We're not those people. Like, I learned on my journey, I had to take responsibility and I had to make the first move. And that's basically what I'm teaching my clients is they are the first move. They are the one that goes out and tells people and gets in front of people. Like, but you can't do that going out and getting in front of people with confidence if you don't have all of the other stuff sitting in the background, if you don't have the offer you believe in, if you don't have the lead magnet that you can offer to people and say, oh, I've got something of value for you, like here it is.
Exactly.
So that systemization, like, it's not about being a scary thing. It's about giving you the most solid foundation to then like literally just skyrocket your business. Because I always say to my clients, like, you can't make £2,000 months. Well, no, you can't make £10,000 months if you've never made 2,000.
That's a good
Like,
point.
you can't. Like, you have to go through that process of building up. And this, like, the balance code program is about building that foundation that is so rock solid that it is your legacy, and you're like, it's decades of income. It's not like, oh, we're going to do this one launch and then it's going to be a flash in the pan and we're never going to be able to do it again because we don't know how. It's an actual legacy that you're
Process.
building.
Yeah.
And like, my favorite thing, I was saying to you on the backstage, one of my clients who I worked with 5 years ago messaged me like literally a week ago with this massive picture of a whole new business. Like, she's changing her whole business. She's remapped out her whole business, her whole new funnel, everything. And she literally sent me a picture and she had all of her balance code notes from like 4 years ago on the floor. And she was like, I used the exact same notes and I've redone the whole thing. Like, she's not even in the program anymore, but she's still using what she learned as her springboard for everything else.
Amazing.
And like, she's already doing 10K months and she's still coming back to these fundamental learnings, because that is exactly what they are. They are the fundamentals of what it takes to run a business. And that's what these women need. They need somebody in their corner to say, you've got this. This is how you do it. And once you know how to do it, your expertise matched with this knowledge, you're going to be unstoppable. Like, how incredible.
Oh, this is gold. This is absolute gold. And, you know, for someone who's really struggling, they're going to go, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that it was because I never had an actual offer or a sales page that I had no candy to sell to the person who was looking to buy it. It was just a pie in the air, you know, and there was no real rock solid foundation like what you're actually discussing and talking about. So that's amazing. And what you've done, you've just explained that pillar so well that you've also moved down into the fourth pillar, which I will say because it's part of what your teaching is, and that is about lead magnets and, you know, designing the campaigns and doing all the email sequences and attracting and, you know, bringing in the clients. Well, I think, Jacky, you said that very, very beautifully. But, you know, just know for those who are listening that everything is mapped. So you are getting it step by step. So pillar number 4 is your lead magnets and your campaigns. And then we come to number 5, which is optimization of sales pages and crafting that persuasive sales page to drive sales. So what would you be saying to that client praying for your help right now?
So the big thing with a lot of people is their sales pages are normally over cluttered. So they try and cram everything in, like, you know, the design of them is not necessarily
Like
overly
spaghetti on the
friendly.
wall?
Spaghetti on the wall. And like I always say to clients, like, you need white space, you need breathing space
Yeah.
for people, because if we think about energy and we think about how we show up, if you are standing in front of somebody and you are thinking about investing money with them, and they are going, oh my gosh, and there's this and there's this and you could do this and there's this and like, and they're just all over the place, there's going to be a disconnect in you thinking like, oh, like, is this the right investment? Am I supposed, you know, is this the right place to go?
Confusion.
It's exactly the same when you land on somebody's sales page. If you
Yeah.
land and everything is haphazard and all in your face and all on top of each other, it's really easy to feel like really overwhelmed and just be like, oh my gosh, I can't deal with this. So one of my biggest like truths that I tell my clients about their sales pages is that you need white space. You need like bold headings, and every area of your website has to be designed with the client in mind. It has to be designed with that thought process of, how do I make sure that somebody knows exactly what they need to know? So when they land, there is the name of the thing, there is a tagline, there is a tin of beans as to what they actually get from you. Because the amount of times I'll land on people's sales pages and I'll read all of this like flowery, beautiful language, and then I'll say to them, like, I still don't know what I'm buying.
Wow.
I still don't. Is it one-to-one? Is it a group program? Is it 3 months, 12 months, 6 months, lifetime? Like, I still don't know what I'm buying. So when we create something, we know so intrinsically what it is. We've built it. We have all of the pieces in our minds. And a lot of the time when we write about it, we make the assumption that our audience knows those things too.
True. That's
and
very
they
true.
don't. Like, they don't know. So like my biggest thing, if you're already at the point where you've got a business and you've got a sales page, go onto your sales page with a really critical eye and figure out how long it takes for you to actually tell somebody what they're buying. At what point in your sales page? And so often people will say to me, like, it's all the way at the bottom where I tell them what's included. And it's nowhere else.
True.
So like
miles and miles down the page. And
yeah.
time the person's fallen asleep, fallen off their chair, got confused, and as they say, a confused mind never buys. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that is quite incredible. That's absolutely amazing. And while you've got these pivotal 5 pillars that you are delivering and really helping people to create their most juicy, powerful element, are you helping people that are starting from scratch as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of my client base, especially people who come into the Balance Code program, are people who are just starting out, who have an idea. Maybe they've been working kind of one-to-one with people and they want to move more into the online space. So yes, we kind of sit in that space of women who are starting out, who are like experts in what they do, but are a little bit scared of how to actually run a business, how to show up on social media, how to work all the tech, how to build the funnels, all of the swear words that no entrepreneur likes to deal with. Like we sit in that space. So if people do want to work, if people are further in their business journey, we've got one-to-one packages where we actually work individually with people. If they've got the fundamentals and they want to go really deep into their own funnels and like properly review and up level their own funnels that already exist, we do that on a one-to-one basis because
That's
it's
so
impossible. Yeah, it's impossible to do that deep level, like individual support in a group setting. It's so much better for the client if they have that one-to-one.
Very true.
So
Very
yeah,
true.
so we've got the
And
kind of
yet, for
two
someone
levels.
who's new, I'm so sorry to be the serial interrupter, but just for somebody who's new, I can see the wisdom and how it can be extremely beneficial to be in a group to sort of bounce off and get ideas and really begin that structure. But then you've got someone that comes along that's experienced and's got 16 years or whatever, but they just want to drill down to be giving them that. So what an amazing program you've got. And I hate to be the guy that says, and there's more, wait, there's more. But in Jacky's program, you get lifetime access to the library. You heard what Jacky said about the client that told her about a new exciting offer she's doing. And she's doing everything. She's already been taught and she's got the resources because Jacky gives you lifetime access into the library of her very powerful recorded videos. So, in conclusion to all of this, I mean, I know there's so much we could really continue talking about, and I'd love to do that. And from your journey from adversity to this university of what you are now doing for people, when you kind of wake up tomorrow and you reflect on this, because obviously this is going to be an absolute minefield of information for you to give people who don't know you very well yet, to be adding into your masterclasses so people get to hear your story as well and really get to know you. But my question, which I love to ask everyone, is if you were to wake up tomorrow having done an amazing, incredibly informative podcast here with me, and you thought to yourself, oh, I would have loved to have shared that, what would be the one thing, because I'm giving you the quantum leap, to consider something you would like to share to those clients praying for your service? What would be your last words?
So as much as a lot of what we do is talking about business and systems and all of that amazing stuff, I want to take us right back to that very first thing that we said in it all comes down to the story that you're telling yourself. It all comes down to you having to heal the relationship that you have with yourself, with the boundaries that you set with yourself and other people, the way that you show up. Like, none of this becomes possible if you are not willing to take that step, to make the move, to do the action. And the big thing for me that I always say to people is that you've got to surround yourself with as many examples of success as you possibly can. So my absolute truth is, if I hadn't in that moment of breakdown hired 2 coaches and gone all in and said this is enough, and I was in debt, I wasn't in a financially good position, like so much was wrong at that moment, but I was like, actually, I'm going to invest in myself. And it doesn't have to be hiring coaches or getting into programs. It can be listening to podcasts. It can be reading books. Like, it doesn't have to be something that costs you loads of money. The internet is a amazing resource in this day and age, but you have to invest your time. You have to. You have to say, even if I'm not going to spend money in this moment, I am going to invest my time and make a difference and learn about myself and heal myself and learn about what I'm actually telling myself. Because if you can change the story that you tell yourself, and you can change what you believe is possible for you in this lifetime, like, everything will shift around you. It can't not. Like, it can't not shift when you shift who you are. Like, one of my favorite sayings when I run is always the idea of mind over matter. So, like, I won't let the situation outside of me dictate how I show up. I will let me dictate to everything else what I'm going to be in the world. And that mind over matter, like, I choose, I make the choice, I take the responsibility, I make the move. And if I can put myself in that position where I am the momentum, nothing can stop me. And I want every single listener to remember that. You are the momentum. Nothing can stop you from living the life that you're supposed to, except you. So, like, literally start making moves. That is all that you need to do. Start making moves. It doesn't matter how small, start making them.
Oh, you just put fire in my belly, girl. And if she's put fire in your belly, I would strongly suggest you click the link, you get on a call with this beautiful lady. Waste not another moment of your life sitting on the fence or waiting to hit rock bottom. You really, I say, unfortunately, rock bottom is the place where a lot of people find their legacy. However, if people can listen up and hear and take one thing away from this entire conversation, I know that your life will be better for it. So thank you so much, Jacky, for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Terri.
Thank you for joining us on another empowering episode of our show, where we have explored through this various topic, along with all the exciting new topics that we bring every week to enhance your personal mastery of excellence. Now, I'd love you to do me a favor. In fact, be part of the Legacy 1 million that I have in the vision for 2028. If you know someone who really would benefit from this recording, from this episode, please share it with them. And when you subscribe, you get notified every week of our episode as soon as it drops. So let's do that. legacy thing. Let's share, let's care, let's enrich. And I look forward to bringing you another week of the most enriching content. So until next time, stay inspired, stay awesome, and keep on mastering your excellence.